and private sector growth across the Islamic world. My name is Rishard Baderoon, a cybersecurity consultant and owner at some secure group with over 25 years experience in IT and cybersecurity. I specialize in operational technology and industrial control system security, risk assessments and compliance frameworks like NIST and ISO. Today I'll be your moderator as we explore strategies, tools and best practices to safeguard our digital lives. So before we begin, let me introduce our distinguished speakers. Firstly, we've got to introduce you to our panel of experts. We've got Mr. Syed, Ubaid Ali Jafri, and just spelling it, pronouncing it correctly here, cyber defense and offensive security with over 100 plus professionals under his leadership. Mr. Jafri excels in SOC operations, red teaming, and digital transformation security. He's also a global cybersecurity influencer and advisor. Secondly, we've got Mr. Derar Abu Sheikha, cybersecurity consultant at Sysnet. Sysnet cybersecurity with 12 years of experience. Mr. Sheikha specializes in defense security, penetration testing, and digital forensics, having worked with the Palestinian Attorney General's Office and Anti-Corruption Authority. Thirdly, we've got Mr. Fawad, Mushtaq, a cybersecurity consultant, a community builder, an expert in penetration testing, network security, and detection technology. Mr. Mushtaq brings hands-on experience in vulnerability assessment and cyber training. And lastly, we've got Mr. John Scott, owner of Wildpark Security Consultancy Limited. John focuses on security culture, change and human risk management, having led programs at the Bank of England and trained global clients as a Science Institute certified instructor. So let's give them all a virtual round of applause. Thank you for joining. Now let's dive into today's presentations. Each speaker will share insights on critical cybersecurity themes and we'll follow with a Q&A session. So first up, we've got Mr. Fawad Mushtaq, who will discuss the importance of cybersecurity and emerging threats. Mohammed, so we'll all either continue with our video or just let Mohammed continue his presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Rishard. Thank you for inviting me. So I should, firstly, I should have to share my screen. Okay. So, is it visible? Can someone confirm it? Okay. So, Assalamu alaikum, Izayek everyone. Hope so you all are doing well. Today, first of all, the topic of my talk is importance of cybersecurity and emerging threats. First of all, I would thank the Islamic Chamber of Training Academy for inviting me and arranging this beautiful event. So the talk is starting from mine, the importance of cybersecurity in emerging threats. So who am I? My name is Fawad Mushtaq, as Richard also introduced me. I'm a cybersecurity consultant, a security analyst, a CTF player, and a security mentor, as he said that I also involved in community building, as I have many communities which I mentor. And absolutely, I am a student for a lifetime because learning never stops. So the structure of the talk would go Like, first of all, I would start from what is cybersecurity, and then inshallah, we will deep into it, and then we will go to what is the importance of data, what is the importance of data, what is importance of cybersecurity, where the cybersecurity use, what are the threats, what are the advanced threats, and what are the emerging threats. So, as from the topic, the importance of cybersecurity and the emerging threats, my talk is divided into two parts. First is the importance and the cybersecurity, and then inshallah, we will go to the emerging threats and threats. So you will understand what the whole point is. So as there are a lot of people, so there is a quick question for everyone. How many time you got a spam call asking you for your information from as a bank representative and saying you that, hello, I am someone from some bank and I want to ask you something. I want you have your bank have been hacked. um, Kindly give me your information and a lot of things. So according to the facts, true caller in 2020, there was 3.7 billion scam calls were in every month globally, and in single in US there were every day 30 million scam call in 2020. That was a 5 year before. So first of all, as I said, I would tell about what is cybersecurity. So as there are a lot of people from different backgrounds in the talk, from very low level, they're not know a single knowledge of cybersecurity to upper level management. So first of all, I would give an example and try to tell you what the cybersecurity is. So imagine you have a house and there are doors, windows, and like you did all the security measures. But what you do, you bought the key that have a common, like there you see in the market there is a lock who have numbers on it. It have like a common password, a 000. So you put that lock on your door, and you didn't change the password. So what will happen? There is a possibility that someone, some attacker, it would be a thief or anyone who can enter in your house and steal anything you want. Or imagine you lock your house, but you put the keys outside of your house. So what would be the consequences? In a same, if you like, if you see the whole scenario and if you put it on internet of things and internet, this is the same thing as you put the password, you put the weak passwords, you give the information to anyone. Every organization have like its attack surface is anything that is exposing to internet, like it's a website, it's your social link, it's anything that is exposed to internet. It is like a window or a door to your internet security. So from what is cybersecurity and what is the most important thing in cybersecurity is, uh, I think so, the data and information is the most critical and the most important thing in today's world. As data is the new gold, uh, you have to like Facebook, Google, every single of the tech giant have a lot of data of you. What they do of of their data? What they do of that data? They sell that data to the companies to earn the money. So data is a new gold. As much as you data have of anyone, you can do anything of that. Like how it is important. I also want to give you a quick example here also. Let's suppose there is an area where a sudden flood or any kind of earthquake is happen. So that's a remote area, and you have a little information of that area, and through some means you got the information that there are 200 people stuck at somewhere, but the actual facts, the actual information, the actual data is there are 7,000 people at that place. What would be the consequences? You send the aid of only 200 people to the place where are 7,000 people, and it would cause a major like major crisis there. So data is very important in cyber security in every domain. There is like attack. What the attacker have to do of that data? Let's suppose someone call you and ask you about your information, uh, or some attacker, some hacker want to be your friend through a social engineering. He would ask you about everything you like, and what he would do of that data. He would probably use it for guessing your password. Like, I love the cats. I would talk about a lot of cats. I would talk about cats and everything. And what the attacker would do, he will guess that yes, he likes cats. There is some point that he's used the cat's name or anything in his passwords or anything. So everything, every data, every information you give is important, and it has some benefit to the attacker or hacker. And let's now talk about what is cybersecurity actually. I talk about the data. I talk about your like information on internet. There is there is a thing in cybersecurity that nothing is secure except the thing that is not connected to internet. So everything that is on internet, even your mobile, your smart homes, anything is not secure actually. uh, and security is myth actually. But what we can do, we can maximize the security by securing our information, by securing ourselves, by securing our information. And there is a thing in cybersecurity that uh, you have to be in this triad: the confidentiality, integrity, and availability. That your data should be confidential, you have integrity, and your website or your asset have availability when it is needed. So in this day of internet, everything is exposing to internet, and that is very harmful for anyone, in the perspective of attacker. So as I talk that what is cybersecurity, now I talk about where the cybersecurity would need. So from a very little child to the head of the state, everywhere, every organization needs a cybersecurity. Everywhere where the data is involved, where the information is involved, where the internet is involved, you have to be secure, and there is a need of cybersecurity. And you are like how it is a need, how it is needed in every little area of the things of our life. That from a very little child, let's suppose you put the picture of any child on internet, their iris, their like the identification is on internet. An attacker can use it. Your thumbprints, everything you put on internet is exposed, and it would harmful for anyone. uh, every organization from agriculture, from technology, from transport, from geographic nature, atomic energy, everything needs a cybersecurity, because there are a lot of consequences if you not secure your environment, if you're not secure your data of your employees or anything, it would cause a huge amount of financial loss or any kind of loss. Uh, attacker can belong to any organization that is criminal. Attacker is linked to any organization that is terrorist. So there are a lot of crises involved in leaking your data or anything. Uh, I have a quick facts about importance of cybersecurity and how the attacks are growing. Uh, from every business organization that do a business, even it's hospitals, schools, it's energy sector, it is a defense sector, any kind of uh, any kind of organization have some threats in this era of internet. There is a quick fact that in the every week there you can see the stats there, that there's a huge rise of attacks everywhere on a weekly basis. And it will, if you're not secure, your reputation, uh, your everything will lost. Like if some organization don't secure their network, there is uh, there is a possibility that its reputation will lose. There is a hack in which there is a lot of information is uh, get by the hacker, and it would used for harming the user of that app. And in 2020, there was a hack of a popular dating app in which there were data of millions of people, and it was hacked by an hacker, and then it is used to blackmailing the people, asking for ransom as there, and you know that there in every day there are billion of dollars companies give to the attacker as a ransom. There is a quick stat of industry-wise hacks. Healthcare is on the top, and the most critical thing is healthcare in industry is a most critical industry. Uh, how the healthcare can be hacked or attacked? There are a lot of information of the people. Let's suppose there is a high-fi political leader or a political figure, public figure, and he is going through some kind of disease, and no one knows that he's going through the disease. And the data is breached, and it is available in internet. What would be the consequences? There might be danger to his health, and there are a lot of things going through in his life. Maybe he's depressed or a lot of things. So data is important, and security is most important thing. Uh, as I said, that the cyber attack on critical infrastructure, such as hospitals, is very important. In 2024, there was a ransom attack on a hospital, and it was like it lost the record of around 700 patients, and they have to, and it includes 97 cancer patients. So there are a lot of industries where data is important, and it will affect ultimately the people, the security, and the reputation of any organization. Now I would talk about the threats: malware, ransom, phishing attacks, data breach, insider threat, DDoS attack. So what is the malware and a ransom? A ransom is basically any kind of there is some question maybe, or I would I would answer the question at the last. Okay, I have 4 minutes remaining, or fourth Simon.
Yes, thank you.
Remaining, okay, no problem. Okay, I will quickly end this talk. What are the cyber threats? There are all malware and ransom, phishing attacks. What are malwares and ransom? I would quickly tell. Any kind of attack in the return of which the attacker asks for a lot of money is ransom. Uh, they will encrypt your data and ask you for money and decrypt it. And even if you not give them ransom, they will sell that data and expose you, and that would more harm you if you not pay the ransom. Phishing attacks, that's a very common attack in that area, and it's a very easy and a very convenient attack because human is the weakest link, and that is the link that is going through the social engineering. All data breaches are due to the less security, and mostly due to the ransom and all that. Insider threat is a very important threat. Any organization um uh, any organization has some insider threats, which is the reason of many cyber attacks. And DDoS attack is a common attack, which is denying your services to a lot of uh, to a lot of a lot of requests from different regions. Uh, Okay, as I said that phishing is the top and very easy because it is very easy to perform. And what are the emerging threats? Uh, Internet out after COVID. If we see that before the COVID, the internet is more common. Like there were remote works and all the things which increase the threat level. And every day the expansion in industry, use of artificial intelligence, AI powered deep fakes, and all the things are increasing day by day. LLMs attacks and all the things are and then every home have a smart devices, your machines, your TVs, everything is connected to the internet. And if anyone can hack it, he would have a whole control of your house. And yes, the quantum computing, recent Google advancement, and it will increase the threat, as it would be easy for decrypting any kind of password, strong password. So deepfake, as I said, anyone can be anyone through your information, uh, through just a little kind of use of AI. Anyone can be anyone, and it would cause misinformation at a large level, at a very small to large level. And speeding automation attack. I have quick, as there is very little time left, so I have a quick demo of how the speeding automation speed the attack. So with okay, so here's the demo. I just did the phishing attack on myself through through the fake email. I quickly make the template from ChatGPT or any kind of AI model. Then I send it to myself through the uh, like free phishing mail server, and then I send it to myself. What happens there? Then I I click at the link. Here's the mail that I get from, and you can see that it is from the support LinkedIn. Uh, I click on the link, and then I go to the page that look alike of LinkedIn. I put my passwords here, and then the passwords are here in front of me. So automation increase the attacks, AI increase the attack, and that's the most emerging threat. Maybe there is a very little time left, so thank you. You can connect me.
Thank you very much,
That was,
Mohammed.
thank
Thank
you.
you for the presentation. Let's move on
Any,
to uh, the next speaker, which is Mr. Syed Ubaid Ali Jafri, will explore the protection strategies, best practices, and case study. Over to you, Ubaid.
I have to, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Syed Ubaid Ali Jafri, and it's an honor to have a conversation with the audience and interacting with the audience. While assessing the risk, as Fawad informed us regarding the cyber threat and emerging technologies, I would like to let audience know about how we as a bank is combating against such cyber attacks and threats. See, the topic is about how we secure the future and how the future is actually look like. So from the banking perspective, yes, it's very important to know some aspects that are very crucial and important, which I will be presenting in a while. But I would like to know that from the banking perspective, we as a bank is anticipating the attacks. We as a bank make profile of threat actors and we do perform analysis that what these threat actors are up to. So in case if we take an example that if any threat actor conduct an attack on any country on a banking sector, so we do perform the analytics of the profile. We assess the whereabouts of the threat actor, and based on that parameter, we are in a position to identify that what this threat actor is actually doing, like the attack pattern, the analysis of the threat actor, the interest of the threat actor, whether he's interested in financials, he's interested in unavailability of the organization, making organization unavailable. Furthermore, we do like to assess that how these threat actors are actually attacking the organization, what are the weaknesses they are actually working for. Usually their pattern are consistent, formed, unique. So that's why we have made a repository which is publicly available. And in a while, I will be sharing the link in the chat that would be beneficial for the audience as well, which audience can also utilize it for their benefit and for the interest of their organization in order to secure it from massive cyber breaches. So for that purpose, we had made an archive that would help an organization to anticipate the pattern of the attack. In that context, I have prepared some demonstration, and that would help individuals and TI professionals, SOC analysts, to actually forecast and predict the threats that are coming from various countries. In order to do so, I would like to share my screen and would let you know that how we are actually doing this. I hope my screen will be visible to the audience. So this is the Global Compromise Organization database. It took us around 2.5 years to collect the whole information and make it as a subset of the complete data. It is from 2019 till 2024 December. And in that specific area, we are in a position to know that how many threat actors are actually working. And this is the country landscape, that how many countries we are working with, how many industries are impacted with threat actors and attacks, how many threat actors are actually uh, they are looking from the black eye perspective. So how the threat actors are watching us. So there are around 385 threat actors to whom the whole cyber and IT industry is impacted from. These 385 threat actors had made the life of the organization mess, and they are actually perpetrating, they are continuously attacking on the organizations, they are making histories, they are actually breaching some vulnerabilities, they are breaching the weaknesses exist in the organization. And those organizations whose landscape is global, whose landscape is public, but is vulnerable from certain vulnerabilities, they try to exploit those vulnerabilities and penetrate in the organization. So we have arranged all the data set in a single window for the ease of the audience, to let the audience know that how these threat actors actually works and how their methodologies actually look like. So, and the breach category, there are 11 breach categories to whom we are actually working with. Also, there are around 12,000 records, 12,000 organizations which got compromised with various reasons, along with the dates mentioned. So if we go to the impacted industries, so we will find that these are the impacted industries whose percentages are mentioned here based on the attack vector. And also these are the threat actor who are influential by means of their attack pattern. So in that case, there are 12.9% whose attack was conducted by Logbit, 9.5Y conducted by Logbit 3.0, 2.0, 9.2% was a black cat. So we know that, okay, I come to know that there is a terminology called threat actor, and there is a threat actor called Logbit. So what I am impacted with, and is my organization is really impacted with Logbit, or do I need to worry about from the Logbit threat actor? If you need to find those answers, so here is the detailed analysis. In the detailed analysis session, what we do need to do is either if your organization has a presence on various countries, so we would go and examine that what countries you are looking for. And if I am looking for, let's say, United States, so it will come up with the United States and those attacks which happened in the United States, which happened with various organizations, and what happened with them is mentioned below. Like if I take an example that United States, there is an automotive industry called United Auto, was impacted by LV block, that was the name of the threat actor, in 22nd December 2023. The victim domain was this, and the attack pattern, what the threat actor utilizes is, when I click on that, it actually gives me the detailed analysis of the attack pattern, that LV group malware drops through the website into the public access folder by abusing proxy shell and also the loopholes of Microsoft Exchange server. See, that much of concise information, you won't get it over the internet. You might find the various threat actor history and historical analysis, but you won't find that much of information that how these threat actor actually perform the attack. And if my organization is related to that industry, if I am an automotive industry, then, and if my country is not impacted, it's not the matter. If there is industry of automotive industry and who got impacted, so I need to worry about that. Okay, I am also belong to the automotive industry, and there might be that LV can attack on my organization because LV is more interested in attacking automotive industries. So today I am not impacted with this threat actor, but maybe tomorrow I might impacted with this threat actor. So what I need to do is, the remediation steps are there. If you go and find any TI solution, you won't find the remediation step, that what as an organization you need to do. So as an organization, we need to do like we need to patch the critical vulnerabilities such as proxy shell and proxy logon, employing automated patches, implementing EDR solution, disabling PowerShell and Mimikatz scripts. These are the customized scripts. PowerShell usually comes up with default open in the Windows operating system that needs to be closed if it is not utilized by the organization. Similarly, there are some specific registry entries which needs to be configured in order to protect against such threat actor. By doing this, if you go and find the industry automotive, and if you find like LV is one of the threat actor, maybe there might be more threat actor in the automotive industry, then you go and find such threat actor, and after a day, what your KPI would be. Your KPI would be what you will be presenting in front of the management, that today as of 26 February, now we as an automotive industry is actually secure from 10 threat actors who actually targets automotive industry. Now you had made a profile of those threat actors who are actually globally operating, and they are globally targeting the automotive industries. So now you have accumulated the data, the remediation steps, their attack pattern, that how they're gonna attack in your organization. Now you know your enemy and know your defense. So if you know your enemy and you know your defense, you would be in a dominating position. That these are the 10 threat actor who would be attacking on my organization. And for the remediation step, what I have taken is, these are the steps which I have taken as a remediation. And today I am secured from 10 threat actors who is globally targeting victim of an organization. So if you calculate your KPI, so today you are in a space which is a known space for the threat actor. Today you know which threat actor are interested in attacking your organization. As of today, if I just wipe this screen out, you don't know how many threat actors are interested in your organization. For example, the banking and financial institution, the manufacturing industry, how many threat actors are actually willing to attack on your organization. After this data repository, you would be in a position to identify the threat actor, their attack pattern, the remediation steps as an organization. And after implementing all these steps, you would, what is the outcome of this activity? The outcome would be an impressive KPI. And that impressive KPI would actually eye-opening for the management. Okay, that this is the global threat landscape where globally threat actor is targeting various organizations, and we as an organization operating in any country has secured from X number of threat actors. This is very important. And from the banking and financial institutions perspective, we are doing this activity. And you cannot imagine that we had reduced the attack surface from 100% to 45%. On a year basis, if we accumulate those attacks, because on the banking and financial institution, more than 80 plus threat actors are actually targeting on banking and financial institutions. So we anticipate those attacks. We find the patterns of the threat actor. We do adapt the remediation step. We perform the patches against the specific CVEs. And now we are in a position to combat 45% against those threat actors we are worried about. So this is very important numbers and figures. You must consider it. I would like to share the link in the description, which you can explore it in the later stages. That would really help you out in examining the threat, in identifying the threat, and also in remediating the threat. See, when you discover a threat, when you identify the threat, the problem is the remediation. So here you are getting the end-to-end cycle, that how you gonna stop this threat, how you gonna identify this threat, and how you will be remediating this threat. And after completing all the steps, you would bring a single slide saying that these threat actors were continuously targeting such organization where we are working, and against those threat actors we have taken such a step to secure them from massive cyber disasters. This is what I mean to mention here, is very important to know. And if you have any queries and questions, you can ask. The whole set is called threat actor attribution. This threat actor attribution is really consists of threat actor profiling. Can you imagine that 385 threat actor, we had made the profile of 385 threat actors, and the profile of 385 threat actor took a lot of time in order to find the accurate information of those threat actor, to find the accurate attack pattern of those threat actor, and also to work in this capacity where we can actually imagine and anticipate that these threat actors are actually highly likely to attack such organization with such capability. And if you know the capability of the threat actor and know your defense, you would be dominating against those threat actors. So these are my important points, which I would like to highlight in this context. If you need to find any information over the internet, you can contact me. And honestly speaking, from the financial perspective, identifying the threats and implementing the controls are very important. And it's also important to know that what your defenses is actually look like. If you are implementing a technology stack, you must know that what technology is implemented on which side. There are numerous technologies which are working in parallel to secure from cyber breaches, but we are not utilizing the feature of that technology. And why I am telling this? Because I have examined various organizations, including financial institutions, which I came to know that they have a very good fort, but their doors are very weak. They have implemented a very big security mechanism, but they are using the default passwords. So this is not the mistake of the service provider, it's the mistake of the organization who is continuously using the default password and not disabling it. So I have a request from the audience that when you are using the technology like firewall, EDR, XDR, NDR, IDR, or any other technology, you should explore that technology from the effective perspective. And do one more thing to make the efficacy of the technology stack, that what is the efficiency which we are achieving and what is the current efficiency we are getting from this technology. Like today, you are using a solution of a security. So you should calculate the efficiency, that up to what level this solution is efficient for, and how many features you are utilizing against that technology. In the context of cybersecurity, it is very important to know that such attacks can happen in the organization by, if you enable such controls, so you would know that this is the maximum what you can do with the organization. Thank you very much, audience.
Thank you so much, Syed. Very insightful and very informative what you've done. So we'll move on to the next speaker, Mr. Derar Abu Sheikha. Risk management, mitigation, and building a culture of cybersecurity. Derar, please proceed. Thank you.
Wait, okay. Hello, everyone. Today I will talk about the risk management and mitigation, building the culture of the cybersecurity. My name is Derar Abu Sheikha. I am cybersecurity consultant. I will talk about the content present in the presentation, introduction, type of risk categories, identification of the risk categories, risk appetite, risk tolerance, risk identification, risk impact, and probability analysis, and risk assessment, and risk mitigation plan. Introduction. In today's digital age, managing cybersecurity risk critical for organization to protect sensitive data, maintain compliance, and ensure operational community. As a cyber threat become more complex and frequent, business must take a proactive approach to effectively identity, such as assess and mitigation risk. Implementing robust cybersecurity framework, such as the NIST cybersecurity framework or ISO 27000 plan. Rule in this process by providing standard guidelines for the systematic threat management. What is the cybersecurity risk management? Cybersecurity risk management is the process of identifying, assessing, and the mitigation the risk to an organization, information system, and data resulting from cyber threat. It is involve implementing strategies or policies and framework to protect digital assets while ensuring business continuity. We are vulnerable because our information technology fragile and susceptible to wide range of the threat include, such as natural disaster or structural failures or cyber attacks or error or more, including the threat. There are two main parts in risk management facing any organization, which are internal risk and external risk. And any risk within these two parts are internal or external risk. The internal risk, such as strategies or operational or enablers. The external risk, such as demand or regulatory or environment or political or more. Type of risk. Type of risk categories provide a framework for identifying, assessing, and managing various type of the risk an organization may facing. Understand the different risk categories is essential for developing a comprehensive risk management strategy that address potential threat and opportunities across all areas of the business. Type of the risk, such as strategies or hazard or operational or financial. This all risk based on this field. Wait. Okay. Risk categories by delivering into the risk categories slide, a core part of the risk management presentation. Attendance will be delivered into the various aspects that comprise risk from product design, system software, manufacturing, quality, project management, or all others. A dive is provided into all layers. The comprehensive perspective continuity with the issues such as data accuracy, collection efficiency, customer service issues, and the comprehensive risk analysis. This slide is an opportunity for the attendance two different and priority categorized for the systematic risk management. Identification of risk categories. Common way to identify risk is the first critical step in risk management. Below are some effective method uncover potential risk, such as a strategic overview, conducting strengths and weaknesses and opportunities and threats. Analysis help organization identify internal and external factors that all cloud both risks. Risk appetite. This chart shows risk appetite based on the risk appetite overshot with the risk appetite with the relationship between impact and likelihood based on the low likelihood or low impact or medium or high. This relationship between the exceed risk appetite or within the risk appetite. Risk tolerance. The risk tolerance, knowing the level of the risk tolerance help organization plan for the risk and will guide how to make a future plan. Risk tolerance refer to the amount of the loss an organization is willing to bear while making a risk-taking decision. Investors are usually classified into four main categories based on the amount of the risk they can tolerate. This includes cost or the timeline or schedule or scope or quality. The risk tolerance rate depends on the relationship between the risk and the impact in terms of the determinant we mentioned before. Risk identification. The first step in developing a risk mitigation plan is identify the risk. During this phase. The team needs to identify and name all the potential risks that the organization faces. This many include risk to critical data, employee safety, and process. However, it should also consider the unique risk that maybe the business may be face due to the industry or environment and climate of the organization. This is the one of the most critical phases in the risk mitigation, as it gives them initial set of the problems that they need solve in the next phase planning. Risk impact and probability analysis. Risk probability, it is the determination of the likelihood of the risk occurring. This likelihood can be based on historical project information. Does the risk typically occur, or the likelihood of the risk can come from interviews or meetings or with individual who would you have knowledge of the probability of risk occurring. When determining of the probability of the risk occurring, it is often giving a score such as high or medium or very low or high or very high. Also, impact assessment is the evaluation of the impact of the risk if it were to occur. If the risk would to occur, would it be it be catastrophic to the project or the minor obstacle, and impact assessment in generally conduct in meetings or interview with the individual who have the suitable knowledge to evaluation the impact of the risk. Completion of an impact assessment, a risk is often given the impact score such as high or low or medium. Risk assessment, this is very important to the risk management part. Another important aspect of the risk mitigation plan is a risk assessment. This is the part of the process when them quantifies the level of the risk that employee and organization face in different event. This part of the plan is also where you may find potential solution, such as control and measurement that the organization may use to the lower the risk level. Conducting a risk assessment is important because it is help to identify potential hazard and assess the level of the risk associated with them. This allows for the prepared planning and implementation of the control to prevent accident or other negative consequence. The consequence may be unimportant, may be important, maybe moderate, maybe major, maybe maybe take the impact for the low risk and moderate risk and high risk or medium risk or the extreme risk. Risk mitigation plan is a comprehensive strategy used to mitigation risk within an organization. It is a critical part of the risk mitigation process and can make it much easier for organization. Implement risk mitigation internally. The plan generally highlight and outlines all the potential risk of the organization. A process along with different parts employee should follow to mitigation the risk. Maybe such as a client management identify risk and server identify risk and technical identify risk. This is very important. Make a plan for the risk mitigation. Thank you for watching.
Thank you so much. That was very insightful. Thank you. Very good presentation. And let's move over to our next speaker. Mr. John Scott will close the presentations with building a security conscious culture. John, take it away.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Let me just share my slides. Rishard, could I ask you to stop sharing, please? We can still see your desktop.
Yeah, I'm not sharing it. Is Derar that was doing it. Derar, can you just turn your sharing off, please?
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Hopefully you can see my slides okay. I'm going to speak to you about how we actually build a security conscious culture. To introduce myself, as you heard, my name is John Scott. I am a consultant and the managing director of Wildpark Security Consultancy, and we work in the secure culture space. In previous lives, I have been I've run the security culture program for the Bank of England, so the Central Bank of the United Kingdom. I've worked with governments and telecoms and so on, all in the security space. And as I was introduced at the beginning, I'm also a SANS certified instructor, so a trainer who specifies in human behavior and culture. So what I'm going to talk to you about is culture, basically. Let me start with a story. So about 2 years ago, my last job, in fact, I started on my first day. I sat down, I got my new laptop, I started checking through all the emails that had turned up. I had a meeting with the CEO in 30 minutes or so to welcome me to the company. It was a startup. It was very small. So, you know, it was a really nice touch. He was coming down from Manchester to London to see me. So this was quite a big deal. So you can imagine my embarrassment when 30 minutes after I started, I clicked on a phishing email. And I got that lovely message, you have been phished. Luckily, it was just a simulated phish. Now, think what's going through my head. I'm a security, in some ways, a security expert, certainly an expert in phishing and human behaviors. And I knew I was going to have a conversation with the CEO because he'd know about this. I was going to have a conversation with him about why did I click on the link. James, the CEO, turned up and we had a discussion. And the first question he asked me was, why did this happen? Now, the really important thing was he was not asking me, you know, what kind of idiot are you? Why did you click on a phishing link? Who have we just employed? He said, why did this happen? Do you understand and can you explain so that we can learn from it? And at that point, I knew I was going to have a great time with the company because at its core, he wanted to know what would happen, what had happened and what we could do about it, not to blame me. And so I spent 18 months working with them, had a fantastic time, still hang out with many of them this day forward. He was slightly put aback when I said it was his fault that I clicked on the phishing email, but I'll come on to that in a second. So that conversation, the tone from leadership told me almost everything I needed to know about the organization, especially in terms of how it responded to security. And that's really key. And that's because of this. All humans are going to make mistakes. One of the previous speakers said, humans are the weakest link, which I don't like as a phrase. I'm going to be completely honest. I understand why he said it. And I understand his perspective, but I don't like it. And that's because of this. Human error is inevitable. Human beings will commit errors. Where I don't like the phrase humans the weakest link is very often, and I'm not saying the previous speaker meant this, but very often we hear security people talking about that, and they don't mean everybody. They just mean, stupid users, and they can be quite rude about it. And again, no disrespect meant to the previous speaker on that. Actually, very often the errors are mistakes that security people have made or that technical people have made in configuring systems, in setting them up. Or they are mistakes that occur, there are errors that occur because of time pressures. If your boss is shouting down your ear to get a piece of work out on time, are you going to do it quickly or are you going to do it securely? I think for most of us, it would be securely. It would be quickly. And in many cases, when I hear people talking about humans being the weakest link and humans make mistakes, it's because of a fundamental misunderstanding about what human error is. And this is not just my thinking, but this is research from the health and safety field, petrochemical field, aeronauticals, and so on. And there's two particular people, James Reason, who codified changing human error into slips, lapses, and mistakes. I'll talk a little bit about those. And Sidney Dekker, who's got this fantastic quote. When he's talking about a punitive culture, if you get sacked for making an error, that bad apple, the person who's always making a mistake, he said, and I don't usually read quotes out, but I love this one so much, getting rid of bad apples does not make human errors go away, but it does tend to make the evidence of them go away. And what he means by that is that if somebody makes a mistake and they think they're going to get in trouble with it, there's a natural human tendency to try and hide it and hope that nobody noticed. And again, that is a sign of a particular culture. It's a punitive one rather than a just one. All of these points are important. Now, again, I'm going to use airlines as an example. You may have heard the phrase culture eats strategy for breakfast, which is assigned to I've forgotten his name. Anyway, the management consultant. I'm rephrasing that. Culture eats compliance for breakfast. And I want to use a particular example to show you this. In the aeronautical field, sorry, I'm keep looking over to the slide. Why don't I just bring it here? In the aeronautical fields, because it is so important. Oh, sorry, has that just, I beg your pardon. That's better. Sorry, I'm going to have to just sort that. Right. In the aeronautical field, for a long time, it's been known that the way that a cabin crew communicate with each other, the pilots and the junior pilots, that they communicate with each other is absolutely vital in terms of dealing with risk. And by that, I mean, you know, crashing aeroplanes. In the early 1980s, a program called the Crew Resource Management Program started being spread as best practice throughout the aeronautical industry. And what crew resource management says is it's all about making sure that the right information is passing to the right people. And that's because in the aeronautical industry, they understand that mistakes cost lives and poor communication costs lives. So early 80s, 1990, the Crew Resource Management Program. In 1997, so 15 years after Crew Resource Management had been started to go around, Korean Air Flight 801 crashed into the side of a mountain, killing many of the people on board. Now, this was a tragedy, and it was investigated. And what it happened was, in Korea especially, there is a culture of deference to seniority. The leading pilot, and this is all from the investigation and the black box reporting and so on, the leading pilot, who was the most senior one, had not noticed a mountain. The two junior pilots didn't want to challenge his authority. They assumed that as the more senior pilot, he must have noticed it. And actually, he was only challenged 6 seconds before they flew the plane into the side of the mountain. So this is a horrible tragedy, even though this program about communication with the cockpit was in place and had been for a few years. They couldn't let their innate culture, their innate deference overcome it. One of the outcomes was that they changed how the senior pilot sits in there. So he sits in a more advisory role, supervising the junior pilot. So they fitted a solution into their culture rather than trying to force people to act against their culture. That is the power of culture. Other aspects of culture, we all agree that leadership is really important, but so does proximity. Your CEO, the person in charge of your organization, will steer the culture of the organization, but they're quite remote from you. You may hear from them occasionally. You might not see them very much. Whereas your line manager is right there. They're the ones who sets your objectives, who, if you have a performance review, is the one who manages that, who helps you in your career. They are very close to you. So not all leaders are equal when it comes to culture. So I've used that word a lot. Let's look at some definitions very quickly. I like snappy definitions about this. A friend of mine posted this on LinkedIn a while ago. Your company culture is not words on your website or posts on the wall. It's how your people feel on a Sunday night, in the Western sense, when they are about to go back to work. So it's about that feeling, that perception, that attitude. Some of my favorite quotes. Culture is what happens when no one is watching. So this is the things that people will do anyway. They don't have to be told to them. There's just the expected behaviors, the right thing to do. The way we do things here, culture is different in different organizations. And you work with the culture if you want a good effect, and you work against the culture if you don't. The worst behavior we are willing to tolerate. If you have an organization which leaves doors open and leaves sensitive documents around and doesn't wear their ID badges, if that's the sort of organization you work for, then that's what people will do, because they see it can have all the policies, all the procedures in place. But if nobody says, put your documents away, lock your computer, lock the doors, wear your badge, whatever the behavior is, then that's what people will do. And the most important thing is that culture isn't a thing that you create. It's what we call an emergent property. Now, what do I mean by that? Your organizational culture, your national culture, your religious culture, they all come out of a number of different factors. Some of them are the environment. Some of them are the world we live in. Some of the language that we use. But very few of those factors are under the control of their organization. I'll talk about which ones are in a second. But the reason that I want to make at this point that culture is an emergent property is that culture changes anyway. I was lucky enough to visit Riyadh last year. I'm going again in May to deliver some training. And I was chatting to some of the attendees to the course, and they were all very proud of their Project 2030, which is this transformational project that their whole country is getting getting in support of. And it, absolutely sounds fantastic. Speaking to other instructors, they were saying that who are non-Arabic, they were saying that when they'd been in Riyadh 5 years previously, they could see significant changes that had occurred across the country in that 5-year period because of this Project 2030, and some very, very positive changes, which was fantastic. That culture change happens for a number of reasons, and you can go and read about the project if you haven't seen it. But some of them are external. Some of them are things like, the country being aware of declining oil reserves and the move towards solar and all of those sorts of things, and wanting the country to be an attractive tourist destination, for example. So not all of these are within the control of them, but what they can do is choose how they shape their environment. In the same way, any of us who worked through COVID will realize quite what a change that made to our organizational cultures. In many companies, everyone was suddenly asked to work from home. And that meant putting in infrastructure, and that meant changing work patterns. That was nothing that our organizations could do to control. That was an external factor that was massively transformational. But we can control some. And this is what I want to call out. So this is based on research called the Cultural Web, which goes back to the 1980s. There's a reference there for people who would like it. But the Cultural Web, Johnson and Scholes, the two researchers, said there are 6 factors that are within the control of an organization, which they can use to shift culture. And from my perspective, which they can use to shift security culture. So first off is the organizational structures. If you're in a hierarchical organization, you will want leadership support and you will want communication to happen in the way that people expect. If they're used to hearing from their manager, they should hear messages about positive security from their manager. But all levels of that organizational structure, the stronger they align, the more likely the culture is to shift. Within that, within the organization structure, there are power structures. If you look at your executive team, in some organizations, the chief information officer is probably more powerful than many other people. In other organizations, the chief financial officer is more powerful than any other people. Even within a group like your board, there will be people who have greater or lesser influence and who are listened to more. And what the power structure says is those are the ones that you need to get on board most, because if they believe that a change is necessary, they will understand it and they will drive it. It also, however, looks at things like, if you think about somebody's secretary or personal assistant or executive assistant, quite often, even though they are very low down in the organizational structure, they have a lot of inherent power because they are the ones who can go and, they're the ones who put things in front of their boss and decide which order they go in. Or maybe it's the person. There's one person in every organization or every team that everyone says, oh, go to so-and-so. They know how to get things done around here. Those are people of power, no matter where they are in the organizational structure. After that is control systems. This means policies, procedures, the rules that we set, the acceptable use policies, but also reward and recognition. So if we want people to think more about security, yes, we need to make sure it's clear in policy, in a language that they understand what we expect of them, but we also need to think about how are we encouraging them. And I'll come on to that one in a second. There are our symbols. That's how our organizations are set up. If you have an organization that has a lot of open doors and people can wander around freely, and you will have a different culture than one where you have a lot of ID badges and having to go through electronic checks and maybe biometric checks and so on. Neither of those is right or wrong. They are appropriate for the organization, but how you use those symbols will help you drive security. So if there is a lot of door checks, maybe you need to ask people to focus on tailgating, people going through without authorization. If it's more open, it's how do you have a conversation with someone when you want to say, should you actually be here? So depending on how your organization deals with how it's set up, that's important. Rituals and routines is a really nice one. And that goes back to the way we do things here. We call it rituals and routines because they're the things that people do without thinking. So if when I get up from my desk, I always put my pass on because I know I'm going to need it to get through a door. That's part of a routine. And if a new person starting sees me doing that, they're more likely to do it. So again, what's the behavior we encourage? Visible wearing of passes, if that's appropriate. The final one, which is my favorite, is stories. How do people talk about the organization? How do they transmit knowledge? And specifically, how do they talk about security? The idea here is the more of these that you are focusing towards a good, secure conversation, a good, secure culture, the more likely your security is to change. And that's what Johnson and Scholes call the paradigm. It's this emergent property. There are still these external factors which we have to deal with, but these are the factors that are within the organization's control. And the more of them that we can get aligned and moving in the same direction, the more likely the culture is to respect and value security. And that's key. To kind of sum that up, I like to think about this as almost a little maths equation. We have negative behaviors, things we absolutely don't want people to do. So again, they're very organizationally specific, but we are very clear about what they are. Let's call those -1, those negative behaviors. The way that we deal with those is compliance. We make it very clear what the policy says. We monitor for the behaviors that we want to see. And in some cases, potentially we punish. If somebody is consistently propping doors open or leaving sensitive documents around or being careless, then there may well be processes where we have to deal with the HR team to actually see about how do we encourage them to the right behaviors. That's the compliance journey. That's important. It's fundamental because those are the behaviors we definitely do not want to see. The interesting thing about the culture journey is we can't force it. We have to encourage it. And that's why I put them as +1 behaviors, because we can get to that 0, the expected minimum set of behaviors for everybody, but that won't move things forward. So we need to think, as an organization who's trying to change the security approach to security, we need to think, how do we look for those ways? And I'm aware of time, so I'm going to leave you with a couple of ideas. So first off, whether it's your leadership structure or power structures, ask your leaders to lead. If they want the organization to think more positively about security, then they should exhibit the behaviors that they want. If you have an organization where the CEO says, I don't need to wear my ID badge because everybody should know who I am, okay, fair enough. You're not going to go very far by saying, actually, in policy, you're supposed to do that. Or if people see leadership being careless because they know somebody will fix it for them. Again, it's against policy. Maybe you won't, in some organizations, we can't challenge the leadership. The phrase too senior for security sometimes comes out. I would suggest you reframe it. You say to the leadership, if you would like a secure culture, we want you to demonstrate these behaviors, please. So we want people to see you doing them because that shows them that you are taking it seriously. And that's ticking both the rituals and routines, the symbols, and the 2 leadership quadrants. There's 4 things that are going on there. We should normalize security. By that, what I mean is we should just make it part of the everyday. It's not a special thing. I know we've had fantastic speakers talking about some of the intricacies of cybersecurity, but at its core, security is about protecting the things that we value. And so we should be able to make that part of our everyday conversations and encourage teams to do that. I think we need to build it into those control structures. We need to make sure our policies are there, but we also need to make sure that we are recognizing and rewarding. I'm going to talk about that specifically in a second, because the policy is a compliance fix. Recognition and reward are culture fixes. We need to get involved in onboarding. So make sure that the first day that people come in to our organization, we let them know how we do things here, that core definition of culture, what is expected, both in terms of positive behaviors and negative ones, but not overwhelm them. Your aim, I would suggest, in that first meeting is to be the friendly face of security. Let us show you how we can support you in behaving securely. And then finally, tell real stories. If an incident happens or a near miss happens at your organization, find out how you can express it and tell people about it, because they've probably already heard. People gossip. They probably already know. Find the positive message to share with them. Right, couple of last points. I want to talk about reward and recognition specifically because a lot of people don't do this. That photo there is a shot from the Bank of England when I was working there for a clear desk program that we ran. Now, like every organization, we had some people in the organization who would maybe leave sensitive materials out on the desk. Now, it's a secured building, so it's not too bad, but it's not great, and it's not the behavior we want to see. We used to have a process where we would give them a card, red card, that said, we've confiscated this sensitive thing, please come and see security. And we watched people kind of slide it into their pocket. Oh, I'm just going to go and get a coffee. And then they'd go off and say, but they didn't know whether that was a tolerated behavior or not. So one weekend we went around every desk and we put green cards on the desks, which were clear. If their desk was locked, if their hard copy material was secured, if their computer was secured, if it was either in their desk or it was locked to the mountings. We also gave them a chocolate with a clear desk. So it was very much a reward and a recognition. It was acknowledging that people had done well. And we kept account. Roughly 95% of people were absolutely green card. We didn't make a big deal about people who didn't make it. We just didn't give them a chocolate and we didn't give them a green card. So when everybody came in the morning, rather than hiding these cards away, they picked them up and said, hey, I got a green card on my desk. Did you get a chocolate? And there was a conversation going on. And the people who hadn't got a green card, without us picking on them, without us making them feel bad, realized that they were not behaving normally. They were not following what everyone else did. And so they changed their behaviors. The reward, the chocolate, was a little bit of a gimmick. Rewards can be short-lived. Nobody remembers a piece of chocolate. What they remember is that they got given chocolate. They remember that they got a card. And I heard stories of people at their end of year review giving that to their manager as part of their evidence of what a good job they had done that year. So that formal recognition, we think you are doing a job. Thank you. You've helped to keep the bank's information secure. Enabled us to really see, even in that 5% of people who were maybe a bit not as great as they could be, we saw a big reduction in that because they understood what the normal behavior was expected to be, not just by us telling them, but by seeing that everybody else was already doing it. And that's an absolutely key thing when we talk about social proof and how people's behaviors matter. One final thing, just to finish. I said right at the beginning that I told James that that it was his fault that I clicked. What had happened was on my first day, I'd received 12 emails, all saying, sign up for this account, do this, do that, do this, do that. I got into a pattern of saying yes. When the 12th one was a phishing email, I just clicked on it. So we changed our processes. We changed our onboarding. We gave people a list of the expected emails they should deal with because we wanted to make it better. And that is a culture that values security. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much, John. That was very interesting. I really like that topic. Thank you. I think it's a topic that's not very much spoken of in the cybersecurity arena. We're all doing deep dives into the technical aspects of it. But I think you're right. It's about the beginnings of everything.
Yes.
And then from the we kind of adopt this culture. But we tend to drive these cars and then not obey the rules. The first thing is to teach you to drive the car. Anyway, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm gonna do from here. Let's move on to some Q&As to our panelists. Number one, let's start off with Mr. Jafri. I've got two questions for you. One is, why is cybersecurity more critical today than 5 years ago? It's a question to you, Mr. Jafri. Yes, yes. Okay, let's move on to Mr. Jafri says. I know that Mr. Derar is attending to something. Mr. Syed. Uh, Syed,
Yes.
Mr. Syed. Mr. Derar is busy. So, Mr. Syed, uh, Mr. Syed, sorry. My apologies.
Yes,
I'm
I can
just
hear
looking.
you.
Yeah, you can hear me? Uh, sorry.
Yes.
Mr. Syed. Sorry, I'm just pulling this question there out. Um, why is cybersecurity more critical today than 5 years ago?
So my personal opinion is regarding before 5 years ago and after 5 years, we are actually evolving with cybersecurity and the threat landscape, I must say. Before 5 years, the attack and the point of attack were very different. We were focusing about antivirus, anti-malwares, and phishing attacks were more concerned. But now, after 5 years, we have seen a drastic change in the global landscape of attacks. Now, attacks using AIs are more sophisticated. Social engineering attacks become more prevalent. And also, we have examined that there is a huge quantum of attacks, what we have observed, that is undetectable using the AI technology and machine learning. It has makes the life easier for the hackers to actually build an attack, to simulate an attack, and remain undetected. Because there are a lot of organizations who are still using the legacy devices as well as softwares, which does not has the capability to detect the updated attacks and the threats.
Yeah.
So this is the problem with the industry, that they are actually continuously chasing those attacks which are very sophisticated. Let's take an example of a phishing attack. Before 5 years, the phishing attacks, there was a signature. We said that use HTTPS, check the spelling mistakes, see the sender name, check the domain name. These were our red flags where we need to identify that this email is coming from illegitimate source. Now,
Yes.
after 5 years, what we have seen is a very big change. Now, AI is making a sophisticated forged email for you. And for that threat actor, there is no spelling mistake. The email seems to be legitimated. And that email, which looks legitimate, is actually the one which is non-legitimate. And it's actually a phishing email. And also
Yes.
hackers are using the easy go to penetrate in the organization using fake domains and names. Like they are using the canonical domain names, which seems very sophisticated and original in nature. And they try to penetrate in the organization by just targeting specific users. Before five
Yes.
years, the phishing campaign was executed throughout the organization. And now, after 5 years, they are targeting the executives. Like the whaling attacks, they are targeting the key members of the organization who are non-technicals, who are CXOs members, and they try to exfiltrate the information from their email addresses.
Yes. Yeah, very, very good. Thank you so much for that question. One last question is, so what is the emerging threats that's keeping you awake at nights? These emerging threats that is out today that we can't seem to circumvent today, and it's a very difficult one. But it's quite interesting to just get your perspective, especially from the bank.
Um, Sir, actually, regarding the emerging threats, uh, the nightmare is obviously the ransom one. Because if an organization got a ransomware attack, there must be a lapse of the security controls which we have implemented. And God forbid, if an organization impacted by a ransomware attack, so apart from backup, there is no other mechanism to restore yourself. So this is one of the key important nightmare for us, the ransomware attack. The second important area is regarding the phishing attack. What we are facing, the quantum of the phishing attacks has significantly been increased for last couple of years because of the sophistication of AI and machine learning. And also, we have also seen a huge change in the DOS attack cycle, where our parameter and edge firewall is playing a very crucial role. So these three attacks are most important, but the fourth one is more likely to be sophisticated in terms of the third party. When a hacker seeks that this organization is not easy to exploit, they exploit the related vendor of those organization, and then after exploiting the vendor, they penetrate in the organization because we had made them whitelisted in our organization. So the third party supply chain is very important and crucial aspect from the banking perspective. We have built the fort, we have made a very huge investment, but we are allowing the third party who is vulnerable, whose credential got breached, whose data got impacted, and we are allowing that third party could make our organization also impacted because of whitelisting of that vendor and helping the attacker to penetrate in the organization.
Very interesting. Thank you so much, Mr. Syed. That's very coming from the banking sector, which is probably number one target. Yeah, it's very, very interesting. Thank you so much. Mr. Mohammed, I just have a question for you. Thank you very much. Mr. Mohammed, frameworks to balance risk management and business agility. What are those frameworks that how are you balancing those frameworks from a risk management perspective and business agility side of Mr. Mushtaq? Are you there? Mohammed, are you there? Are you on mute?
Yes, can you repeat the question?
So I'm asking the question is frameworks to use to balance your risk management and business quality. How are you ensuring that the
Okay,
frameworks is balancing those risks, risk management, and your business agility?
okay. There is a thing like you have to lose something to gain something. So yes, you have to comply on something to gain. Like if you are implementing more security, more framework, it would definitely hinder you in your operations, but it would help you to uh, secure in a greater cause. Like let's suppose if you not implement the framework, like if you're not comply with any compliance, and then there is a breach which cause you and due to that implementation, you are not earning, you are not earning, like your earning is 20% down. But what would if you not comply, if you not apply that framework, then there is a possibility that you lost 100% of your uh,
Yes.
profit. So yes, everything have for if you lost, you have for any gain you have a loss. So yes, there are some loss and gains in everything. So maybe it is better to implement the frameworks, implement the security measures, and complement and everything. So you have to uh, have a little bit of risk as compared to the risk if you not implement that measures.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that sounds very interesting how you to create that balance. One last question is, so how would you measure the mitigation effectiveness? Do you have a formula? Do you have a strategy that how you apply those measures when mitigation effectiveness measurements tools, or is there any kind of frameworks that you use? Mohammed?
Okay, the formula is simple. You have to like if you talk about me, I basically, as a security, ISO 27001 is the most used one and the most beneficial one. Like, uh, yes, as I said before, that uh, uh, you have to you have to gain something, and as if for any gain there is a loss. And as the Sir John Scott said, culture is very important. The health of employees are very important. How they how they how the interaction of you with them is important, because when you are start implying the compliance, when you start implying the frameworks, there is some hindrance, because employees are like they are lazy to perform that thing. So when you are your culture of the in your culture environment would be good, it would be easy, that is a very important point John Scott said uh, in his discussion about the culture, about
Yeah,
how the manager is dealing with your employees. Yes, that would beneficial for any organization, and that is the very uh, like perfect formula for
yes.
better security, for better environment, for better work, and yes, healthy employee, healthy company. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mohammed. Very interesting. Lastly, we've got Mr. Scott. So I know you've covered a topic that is quite very interesting for
Mhm.
me, especially in the culture of cyber, which is with so many organizations that is spending a lot of money in terms of getting that culture. So my question is, there's two questions that I have for you.
Mhm.
One is, what would be the steps to kind of to build a security first mindset? And I'm not sure if that was covered, kind of repeating that, but I just thought perhaps what would be good ways and steps to build a security first mindset?
Okay. No, I think that's a really good question. I think if we use that, the Johnson and Scholes cultural web model, I think the very first thing that needs to be set out is that you have the support of leadership, that they think that this is important, because ultimately they set the strategic direction for the organization. And if they're not on board, you will be fighting very hard. So number one, I think, is that leadership support. The second one is understanding how to approach this subject with your own organization. So understanding your own organizational culture, because again, I think if you try and pull against that culture, you're not going to work very well. And that can be by talking to HR. They quite often have things like organizational culture profiles if you're in a large organization, or just, working out, what do you think the key motivations are? And then the third thing, these are all high level steps. The third thing I would say is seeing how you can make security align with the organization. So not trying to pull it in a different direction, but if you understand what the organization thinks is important, then aligning security to that means that you're going to have a much easier job. In terms of practicalities, I think working out how you would expect to see change happen. So what behaviors do you think are unacceptable as an organization? Communicate those and give people, looking at both the policy side, but also at the recognition side, communicate with people what those changes should be and why, and then measure the change. That's, if you want to see people wearing their ID badges, or if you want people being more careful about sending sensitive emails, then record the change before and after so you can see it. I would say expect to see change in different parts of the organization first. You won't see it everywhere at once. and magnify the good ones. So if you see a department that's doing particularly well, recognize that and, call that out. This is a great job. Make sure that they are seen to be benefiting from doing the right thing, because that will help encourage other people. And then I think the final point is keep reviewing it. Make sure that you're still asking for the right behaviors, make sure that you're seeing the change in the directions you want, and understand why you're not, if they're not, because that again might be out of your control. You might not see a change because in people's behaviors, because actually their line manager is very results driven, very focused, really wants quick results. And then you're fighting against that. If you're trying to get people to slow down and be more secure, but their line manager is telling them speed up and be quicker, you have to understand that that's the environment that they are working in. So when you see a lack of change of behavior, don't automatically assume it's because people are stupid or they don't care, but actually try and understand why you're not seeing that change in behavior.
Very interesting. Thank you. And my last question to you is, how do you make training engaging that training for non-technical people, non-technical staff? So, you have either in an environment where it's the banks or, manufacturing or that, how do you make those non-technical security staff more, engaged in that? Is that a difficult thing to overcome? Is it a process?
It really is. And again, I think there are some clear ways that you can do that. Bearing in mind that training doesn't fix everything. That's one of the lessons that we learned from health and safety. Even very highly trained people can still commit errors, but it's absolutely foundational. So number one, I would say, is keep it short as possible. That doesn't mean like 2 minutes, but all of us, I'm sure, especially in the banking field, have gone through 90 minutes worth of mandatory training, and we literally just press next, and try and get through it as quickly as possible. So don't try and train them on everything. That's not appropriate. We try and give people a broad thing. As security people, we think everything is important. Well, actually, we have to respect their time. So what are the key behaviors and the key risks that we want them to deal with? And let them see those, explain clearly why, but not only explain the behavior, don't explain the why in terms of the organization, but also their personal lives. So for example, if I use password managers as an example, they're a great way of dealing with everyone having long, complex passwords that are unique for every site. Add in that and 2FA, and you know that most people are pretty well protected. So if your organization is pushing password managers, there's an obvious benefit to the organization, right? Our sensitive data is secured, but there's also a benefit to the individual, because they can protect their family's data, they can protect their data, they can protect themselves better. And I think if we look at it from their perspective, why do we need them to take this on board? Well, again, if we think about that positive enactment, reward and recognition, what is in it for them? So yeah, to summarize, I think keep it short, keep it relevant, and make it personal as much as you can. And the more you can do that, the more likely they are to embed that.
To elaborate on that question, do you think that cultures or training people to become more security conscious would start from the early stages of education?
Absolutely. I have 2 children, one's 8 and one's 6, and they both have lessons at school about behaving safely online. Now, again, it's at an appropriate level for them, and it's obviously something, given what I do, that we very much reinforce, but they know, for example, not to share personal information with strangers. And that's appropriate.
Do you think those kind of education should start also within the universities, to kind of build that culture from school into universities and then into the workplace would make a difference?
Yes.
Where an improvement in the workforce.
I think so. But I mean, again, to take a broader point, I was born in the very late 60s. I grew up in a time before computers. The risks to me were completely different than some of the risks to my children now. This is not. I absolutely take your point that organisations will benefit if we engage with children all the way through their educational career and university students. But actually, it's fundamentally about teaching them how the world works, right? We all have mobile phones. We all use online, not all, but the vast majority of us, we transact, we share, we communicate through electronic means. That's why we do it. It's how I can attend a talk given in the Middle East, sitting here in London. So it's more about helping them understand how to keep themselves safe in a changing world. Organizations will benefit from that, but I think that personal thing, both as a parent and as an educator, is much more important, because this is how we all keep safe now.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
That's my pleasure.
John. Thank you. So one last question that I would like to pose to the panelists is, what's one actionable takeaway for organizations starting their cybersecurity journey? And it's an open, anyone can answer that. I'll repeat the question is, what's one actionable takeaway for organizations starting their cybersecurity journey?
I'll start, given that I'm on camera already.
That's okay. Thank you.
I think no matter what the size of organization, you have to understand where your assets are. You have to understand what are the things that you think are valuable, whether that be your information, your personal records, your manufacturing, whatever it is. Understand where they are, because if you don't, you cannot protect them. So almost before you do anything else, where are people keeping your information? Because if you don't know that, you cannot protect it.
Interesting. Syed, Mohammed, any input from your side? What's your take on that question? If you guys are on mute, if you perhaps speaking to me without unmuting yourself, so it'd be interesting. Syed, Mohammed, that seems like that Mohammed, you're on and off again.
Okay, so one takeaway, I like John Scott. I already mentioned him before. The culture is very important for your productivity and for your security, because when you want to educate them, you should have like a linkage with them, a proper linkage with them. If they are your friend, they will tell you. If they are your friend, they will tell you about anything that's he telling. That as he telling why the phishing attack was happened and all. So
Yes.
that is my takeaway from the meeting. And
Okay.
keep keep secure your information. Never ever expose it anywhere. Don't give your data. Don't give your information freely to anyone anywhere. So yes, keep safe and secure.
Interesting. Thank you. Derar, I know you just joined. I'm not sure if you. We've got a panelist question, which is called "What's one actionable takeaway for organizations starting their cybersecurity journey?" If you have any, it's for the panel. If you would like to contribute towards that, feel free.
Hello?
Yes, Derar, I can hear you.
Yeah, I hear you, but not better because I'm drive now.
Oh, I
I'm
see.
sorry because the
No problem.
occupation limit open gate in the city.
Okay,
I'm
no
sorry
problem.
about that.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you for all these invaluable insights. Before we conclude, a reminder that today's webinar will be available for playback on the ICTA's platform. And I would just like to thank our attendees for your participation. It was greatly appreciated. To our speakers, thank you for sharing your expertise and we look forward to seeing you at our next event. Have a great day. Stay vigilant, stay
Thank you.
secure, and have a wonderful day. If there's any other further questions before we close off, forever hold our peace. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Mariam, any last words from you? Mariam, you on mute. Any last words from you?
Thank you so much for today, everybody.
All right. Thank you very much.
See you.
Okay, bye.